talk to me about?
I just want to lead a braver life. Maybe you could show me.
Crash course in bravery. God help us.
Burt Reynolds is a gambler turned bodyguard in the new action thriller Heat, and that's one of 4 new movies we're going to be reviewing this week. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. In his latest film called Heat, Burt Reynolds tries to modify his tough guy image somewhat by making his tough guy have a weakness, chronic gambling. He's a Las Vegas bodyguard for hire when he isn't in the casino blowing whatever money he makes. The movie takes a very long time, though, to get rolling, which occurs only when a wealthy young man tries to hire Reynolds. At first, we're told the young man wants Reynolds to protect him while he gambles.
I am a considerable gambler.
How much do you lose?
$75, $100. I really got the fever.
Later, the young man played by Peter McNichol confesses he wants Reynolds to really teach him to be more of a man.
I assume the first thing you want to learn is how to incapacitate your man.
Yes?
The ear is great. Comes right off. You give it a yank. Most people don't know that. All that connects the ear to the head is a little cartilage, a little skin. You just give it a yank and it'll come right off. Hold it up and show it to them and gets their attention.
The only good scene in the movie is when the two seriously discuss the issue of bravery and fear.
What would you do, you know? I mean, let's just say somebody pulls a gun on you.
Run.
No, I mean it. Really and truly, what would you do?
If he was standing 20 feet away and I didn't have anything in my hands, I'd be in trouble. But if he got up close to me, got a little Hollywood on me, did like that, I'd stick it to him.
Oh, I could never do that. Does it have to be, maybe it has to be in your nature or something? You're probably basically a violent man.
No, I'm not. I'm just good at it.
I wish the movie Heat had started with that scene, but in the movie it occurs after an hour. That's what the movie should have been about, and it might have been a very interesting movie to see Burt Reynolds this time deal with this youngly and possibly violently with the whole issue of what being a tough guy is all about. That subject, incidentally, worked for Burt Reynolds 15 years ago in his best film ever, Deliverance. Heat could have been Deliverance in Las Vegas. Instead, it's a choppy, weak imitation of The Karate Kid with lots of action stunts and a whole gambling sequence that just seems thrown in from out of the blue.
Yeah, well, actually, though, the gambling sequence was very good. I thought that was one of the 2 scenes I liked. I also liked the scene you mentioned, but also the gambling sequence with him at the blackjack tables.
We know what that's about, though,
Well,
I think.
we know what it's about, but it was handled well. And Burt Reynolds gives a good performance in this movie. That's why it's all the more disappointing that they didn't have a good screenplay. And it was written by William Goldman, who's one of the top screenwriters in Hollywood. Butch Cassidy, Magic, some of his credits. He seems to have the beginnings of about 3 movies. Tough Guy Teaches Weak Guy, Compulsive Gambler Tries to Beat Addiction, Las Vegas Bodyguard is tough but actually tender inside. Could have made 3 good movies out of it. Instead, nothing, just confusion except for those 2 good scenes. And then at the end, once again, they're in that warehouse. Yeah. It's all, I'll bet you 1 out of every 5 movies we've seen in the last 2 years has ended with people with guns chasing each other around a warehouse. I wonder if it's always the same warehouse.
I don't know, but I wish the movie had started with one premise, as we're talking about, and gone through it. But have these 2... It is very appealing when the guy says to Reynolds, what's it like to be a tough guy?
Yeah.
All of us who are not tough guys, right? We might want to ask Burt Reynolds, what's it really like? And that would have been fascinating. Instead, we get an hour of junk, I'm afraid, of confusion, before we ever get to that scene.
Yeah, and then at the end?
Action.
Action. I'm gonna count warehouses. We'll have a warehouse count. Anyway, and here's a movie that doesn't have a warehouse. Not to beat around the bush, our next movie is a terrific action powerhouse. A non-stop, no-holds-barred thriller that left me feeling drained at the end of it all, but still with kind of a silly grin on my face. I call movies like this bruised forearm movies because you're always grabbing the person next to you, and when you come out, your arm is black and blue. Lethal Weapons is the best pure action movie since Raiders of the Lost Ark, and in addition to the action, has a lot of tenderness and a lot of humor, too. The movie stars Danny Glover as a veteran Los Angeles homicide detective who's told one day that he's being assigned to a new partner.
Gun!
Raj, meet your new partner.
That's Mel Gibson as the new partner, and that night Glover invites him home for dinner to meet his family, including Tracy Wolf as a teenage daughter who develops, like all teenagers, an instant crush on Mel Gibson.
Mr. Riggs, like that tart?
Thank you. Yeah, call me Martin.
Martin.
This is Mr. Riggs. Sit down.
Their investigation of a suspicious suicide leads the partners to an interview with a millionaire drug dealer who is also Glover's old army buddy.
This is big business, Roger. Not anymore. I'm gonna burn it down.
And now the non-stop action starts as Gibson and Glover shoot it out all over town with the bad guys. The worst of the bad guys is a professional killer played by Gary Busey.
It's rather large, this shipment. It would be unfortunate, however, if we showed up to deliver our heroin and we're surrounded by 50 cops.
That would be too bad.
Yes, it would be. So it's essential for us to find out all the cops know.
Hey, we don't...
No! I wish I could believe you, but unfortunately I don't. Now, if you would kindly tell me everything you know, I promise you I'll kill you quick.
Some of the stunts in this movie have got to be seen to be believed, like this one. But the neat thing about Lethal Weapon is that it's not just chases, not just special effects technology, no warehouses in this movie, but a story that I really got involved in because of the strong offbeat performances by Gibson, who everybody in the police department thinks has a death wish, and they're right, and Glover, who just turned 50 and was sort of hoping to slow down a little bit before he gets this weirdo partner. Their chemistry is strange, but it's fun, and this movie is a great entertainment from one end to the other.
I would say about the first hour of this movie, I enjoyed it just as much as you did, because we get these two wildly different characters, and they are originals, and they're a lot of fun. Rare is it that we get the black cop with the family. Usually it's the white cop with the family, and the black cop is invited over to show that the white cop is a good guy. Here, Glover has the full family, and it's a great family, and he's great in the bathtub wondering whether he's looking old to his daughter, who's a budding sexuality, and he's nervous about her at the table. Marvelous stuff. Gibson, very, very funny in how he handles criminals. Totally off the wall. Shoot me, he says one time, totally confusing the guy who could just shoot him, and then taking the gun away. Spectacular stuff. At the very end of the movie, I just saw it sort of collapsing a little bit downhill with a karate sequence by Gibson that is totally unnecessary. I just felt that they could have sustained that pitch the whole way. Well,
that's the one flaw in the movie, and I'll agree with you there, because here is a absolutely evil, totally vicious killer.
Right.
And when you trap him,
you don't
if you're a cop, I suppose you put the cuffs on him and send him off to jail. Or you shoot him, but you don't say, okay, the code of the West, let's have man-to-man karate combat.
And don't shoot it in slow motion either. I mean, it's a bad scene.
Okay, so I'll give you that scene, but I think that this movie in general is absolutely terrific, and it has one surprise in it.
Yes. And let's leave it at that.
I'm not gonna give it away. I'm just gonna say I was as surprised, by that scene as by any scene I've seen in a long time. It was a delightful surprise.
It fooled me completely. When we come back, a new documentary showing how Lily Tomlin rehearsed and created her smash hit Broadway show.
Is everybody, is the audience pretty well in? Yeah. Oy vey, okay.
Our next movie is named Lily Tomlin, and it's a documentary that was shot over a period of 14 months while Tomlin was on the road trying out new material for a one-woman show. It begins in July 1984 with Tomlin on stage in San Diego, actually reading from the script of new material she was developing in collaboration with Jane Wagner, who was her partner, writer, and director.
One of us is out of order. Maybe it's me. I'm lying down here and the phone rings. That's what I think. Am I wrong?
The movie ends in September 1985 with the triumphant Broadway opening night of her hit show, The Search for Intelligent Life in the Universe. The movie also examines some of the people around Tomlin, including Cheryl Swanick in this scene, her loyal stage manager, whose duties include passing out flyers and even supervising Broadway sign painters.
More like this. Put just a little bit of black to make the eyelashes dominant, and then where he put the white dot, put some nice, real clean white. Just a little bit of it right there.
We also see a little, but not much, of the actual collaborative process between Tomlin and Wagner as they analyze what material works and what material doesn't.
You have somebody very intense who has no humor,
Yeah, that's what I...
Which is, you know...
And so
Marge
Lynn is saying, you know, listen to Betty Friedan, you know, she's saying, we learn the power of our sisterhood, you know.
And
and
Marge
she's saying,
is there because it's something to do at night, and she's with, you know, really, no, Marge is very superficial about it.
Yeah, I don't know how, and Lynn is really a conciliatory, idealistic.
One person is in earnest, and you're the main character, but God forbid that the piece seems that way.
As far as it goes, Lily Tomlin provides a rare look at how her material is developed and shaped and how much work goes into it, especially the work. You can feel that. What I found missing in the movie was a true backstage look at Tomlin herself. What makes her tick? She almost always seems to be very aware of the camera, and she's rather reluctant to provide personal insights. Tomlin and Wagner filed an unsuccessful lawsuit, by the way, to prevent this film from being shown on the grounds that it upstages the concert video or concert film they might want to make from the material. I don't think they have anything to worry about. This film will simply make people want to see more because it whets their appetite. And the person that I would really like to see more of, maybe in a different documentary, is that stage manager, Cheryl, who is the only person in the movie who really pops off the screen as an individual as opposed to somebody who's really protective against the camera.
Yeah, she is a fascinating character. I was disappointed in the film. The most interesting elements to me were Cheryl, the stage manager, and also the old vintage material of the characters that Lily Tomlin played. The current documentary filmmakers simply did not do their work. They did not hone in on Jane Wagner. They did not hone in on Lily Tomlin. There was that one little bit of interplay between them. I wanted more of that. I was very much let down by this film.
So 2 thumbs down, right?
Our next film is a very offbeat comedy called Raising Arizona by the producing and directing team of Joel and Ethan Coen, who are brothers and who 2 years ago created the stylish, violent thriller Blood Simple, which we both enjoyed. One thing the Coens know how to do is shoot visually striking pictures, and Raising Arizona is no exception. This film is as good-looking as it is funny, and I found it to be quite funny in spots, telling the improbable story of a gentle stick-up man, he never uses a loaded gun, who falls in love with and marries a prison guard. But because she is not fertile, they end up kidnapping one of the quintuplets belonging to a very successful Arizona furniture dealer named Nathan Arizona. Here, with the baby in tow, the family returns home.
Come on here, young Nathan Jr. I'm going to show you around. Look at here, young sportsman. That there's the kitchen area where Mom and Pa chow down. This here's the TV. 2 hours a day maximum, either educational or football, so as you know, you don't ruin your appreciation of the finer things. And this here's the divan for socializing and relaxing with the family unit.
Of course, there's no way Mr. Arizona is going to give up little Junior without a chase, and we do get a good one in this film. We've seen lots of chases. This is attractive stuff. These people know how to shoot a movie. Raising Arizona starts out making fun of rural folks, and that's hardly a fresh target. But the film redeems itself because of some very big laughs, especially a hilarious one involving a bank robbery. I won't even spoil that for you. And the film also leaves us with a great, thoughtful final scene, which seems to be saying that some people are meant to fit into this crazy world of ours, and others are not. And maybe, just maybe, we shouldn't be too quick to judge either group. I love the ending of this movie, and that's why, despite some slow patches, I give a recommendation to Raising Arizona.
It sounded to me like you liked it a lot more than just giving it a recommendation. I didn't. I didn't think it worked for me, and I'm the guy who loves Blood Simple. In this film, it seemed to me, first of all, the dialogue is too large. People are always talking about, if you look through yon window. None of the dialogue. Well, I knew they were trying to be funny. Thank you. But I didn't think they were funny, to tell you the truth. And I also felt that the characters were so weirdly drawn that instead of being funny, they were just behavioral exhibits, so that the film never developed a rhythm that was funny for me, that carried me along with it.
We had an argument. We took the opposite sides on the film with David Byrne and Talking Heads.
That's right.
What was the name of that film? You remember that one?
Stop Making Sense.
No.
True Stories.
True Stories, where he shot down in roughly the same area, and I thought he was making fun of the people down there. In this case, I think they like the characters, and that's why I enjoyed this film.
Well, I'll come back to you in 5 years. We'll look at True Stories, and we'll look at this film. We'll see which one we like the best. I think I know the answer for me. Okay. Coming up next, our home video movie recommendations for this week, which include a film about a woman who loves too little, and one who loves too much.
How come every time I let a guy up here, the first thing they want to do is move in?
Well, you work, you got a nice crib, and you're fine.
Now it's time for our weekly home video segment in which we recommend newly released movies you can rent. And here's one of my favorite films from 1984. In fact, it's just one of my favorite films. An English drama called Weatherby, starring the great actress Vanessa Redgrave as a lonely school teacher who throws a dinner party. A stranger arrives. Everybody thinks he's with somebody else. Redgrave has some kind of hidden encounter with him upstairs during the meal, and the next thing she knows, he kills himself. When the police come to investigate, she tries to hide what went on between her and the stranger.
Didn't you have a few moments alone with him? When you were together? What did you talk about?
Fixing the roof.
It's just that Roger, your colleague, Roger says that when you came back, he remembers that you changed.
Changed?
What I don't mean, I'm not saying as a person. Your clothes.
She's very good there, and the scene is well directed. Weatherby is a mystery of the highest order in the sense that it holds us in suspense, not only to learn what went on upstairs, not only to learn what caused the suicide, but also to try to fathom the loneliness that Vanessa Redgrave's character feels. You know the Beatles song, Eleanor Rigby, with the lyric, "All the Lonely People"? Well, where do they all come from? They come from places like the one depicted so brilliantly in Weatherby. The more I talk about this film, the more I think about it, the more I want to see it again right now.
And the more you made me think about it. And, you know, Eleanor Rigby is the song that has the same feeling, the same mood of loneliness that this movie has. It's a great movie. I agree with you. My movie this week is totally and completely different. It's a film by Spike Lee named She's Gotta Have It, which is one of the surprise hits of 1986. The movie stars Tracy Camilla Johns as Nola Darling, a free-spirited woman who has become a nearly legendary character among fans of the film. There have been, in fact, you even hear people saying she's Nola Darling, and it's always a tribute to any movie when people remember the name of the character and apply it to their real lives. The movie, there have been a lot of movies about Don Juans who tried to string along a lot of women, but she's sort of a Don Juanita who has 3 guys in love with her. And here's a funny scene from the movie where a number of guys recite a litany of the come-on lines that Nola has been hearing since men first started taking notice of her.
You so fine, baby. I drank a tub of your bath water. Baby. Got to be you and me.
I know I only saw you for the first time in my life a minute ago, but I love you. I know I only saw you for the first time in my life 1 minute ago, but I love you. I love you.
I love you.
Look, baby, let's go to my house right now. Let's do the wild thing. I mean, let's get loose. I got my BA from Morehouse, my MBA from Harvard. I own a new BMW 318i. I make $53,000 a year after taxes, and I want you to want me.
She's Gotta Have It has a lot of good qualities, like the offbeat originality of that scene, but the thing I like best about the movie is Nola Darling's spirit. She's filled with life and energy, and it's funny the way she takes her 3 boyfriends, each one completely different from the other 2, and plays them one against the other. This movie is fun in that way.
It's fun, and you know, Roger, minority groups have been complaining about the way they've been treated on film, and they have all been treated badly. What they all want is to be treated in a normal way. Like average people. Just get somebody in the average. And these people approximate average people. A little eccentric, but they're in the realm of the normal, not the superhuman or the super awful. And that is what is so refreshing, and it's done with humor.
Spike Lee is making a new movie right now. I'll be looking forward to seeing what it's like on a big budget. This one was made for about $100,000. And I want to see, too, Tracy Camilla Johns.
She's very good. Now take another look at the movies on this show. 2 thumbs down for the Burt Reynolds thriller Heat, a film that gets started on an interesting subject, but much, much too late. Also agreed on the funny, offbeat, violent thriller Lethal Weapon, starring Mel Gibson and Danny Glover. Roger liked it even more than I did. 2 thumbs up. Also agreed on the Lily Tomlin documentary. She's a fascinating subject, but she is not adequately covered here. 2 thumbs down. At the end, Roger thought it was a humorless retread of rural jokes. My thumb up, Roger's down.
So the one we agree on is Lethal Weapon. It's
and I think that Raising Arizona is worth taking a shot.
Okay, that's it for this week. Next week we'll be back with reviews of 4 new movies, including Burglar, starring Whoopi Goldberg as a thief being framed for murder, and Street Smart, starring Christopher Reeve as a reporter who's in way over his head on a dangerous assignment. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.